On today's show, the Mavericks just can't leave it alone, and fans just can't leave Nico alone. Let's talk about that and why PJ Washington's not signed on today's Locked On Mavs. Stop it! Stop! The number one pick will go to the Dallas Mavericks. Cooper Flagg will fly in Dallas.
Dogs, all of us, all five.
You are Locked On Mavs, your daily Dallas Mavericks podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Still can't leave.
Your team every day.
I'm gonna get a city like that.
And welcome. You are Locked On to the Dallas Mavericks, your team every day. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member covering the Mavs for 10 years. Thanks for being every day or making Locked On Mavs your first listen every day. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA for 50% off your first year. Joining me, as always, my co-host, media member covering the Mavs for 10 years, right alongside me, the Billboard bouncer, the One More Thing King. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
Yeah, I spent a little time downtown this morning. Forgot my debit card at a restaurant near the AAC, so that's great. Make sure you always get your debit card from.
I was gonna say, so if you find a debit card at,
but no, I mean, it's always good seeing Dirk Nowitzki, the statue. There's something heartwarming, man. If
spiritual,
honestly, if you when people reach out about coming to Dallas and visiting Dallas. Now it's like going up my ranks of like, if you care about sports, like, hey, just drop out of the arena and see that Dirk statue. It's one of the best in all of sports.
And it's a pretty easy drive by, right? There's a road right in for the Nowitzki way, and you just drive right in front of it.
It's just beautiful. I love everything about it. And there's some billboards around it.
There are some billboards. We'll talk about those. We'll talk about a fan interaction that Nico Harrison had as well. We'll talk about if that went too far. We'll also talk about PJ Washington. He's eligible for a 4-year, $90 million extension. He's supposed to go live on Twitch right now. And we haven't seen it yet, so we're just going to record and see if that happens tomorrow. So maybe he'll give us some info on that. And then the Mavs also signed Dante Exum, according to reports. And so we'll talk about the roster being set. A lot of things, but let's start with this, Isaac Harris. So you drove by the arena today, and you saw the billboards. The Overwatch Luka Doncic billboards are still up around the arena, right?
Yeah.
You saw them with your own eyes today.
I mean, they're digital, so yeah.
Digital, but still up, flashing, all that. In multiple places. And there were reports that the Mavericks tried, by Arash Markazi from LA. He reported that the Mavericks tried to get those billboards removed.
Mike Curtis from Dallas Morning News also reached out to the Mavs and stuff. So a local person reported on it too. And
fair. So we got both sides, both from LA and from Dallas reached out and asked if they had asked them to get them removed. They had, and they're still up. And so the Mavs lost in two areas in this. One, they lost because the billboards didn't get removed. They're still up as of Monday, September 1st on Labor Day. Maybe it's a Labor Day thing and they'll do it afterwards, or maybe the ad run will end. And then two, that this got out. And this is the thing that has been almost worse than the actual trade itself, is that they just couldn't let it die. Right? You said this over and over again. The Mavericks just needed to let it die, and they just have not been able to do that and have not been able to get out of their own way when doing this. It was just another story of like, oh my gosh, like, can they just like let it be? Like take the L with the billboard out in front. Like it's a funny kind of troll, basically, is what they're doing with these Overwatch billboards.
Yeah, it wasn't until when I first saw that report the other day from it was Arash, right?
Arash Markazi, yeah.
Arash, and when he reported that, I was like, come on, surely this isn't true. Like,
I know.
I hope somebody told him something wrong. And then Mike Curtis, a local beat writer, writes his story on it, and I'm like, oh my God, this is true. Now, Mike said that it was nobody from ownership or senior leadership. There you go. That was from the Mavs.
And they're not going to call Overwatch and try to get them, or the ad agency and try to get them removed. I mean, let's go.
And listen, it's not the end of the world. I mean, it's in the middle of the offseason, so this is why we're talking about a billboard on the side. But it's more of like what it represents overall. And it's like, this is so petty. And it's another small thing in the PR aftermath of the trade. Of the Mavs, the weird, I was just talking about this with my wife this evening, the weird drive to eliminate like Luka from history. From the highlight reels post that, Which I shouldn't have said. I mean, because that was not all the Mavs and Duro and all that stuff. But it's like,
They
but
posted
there is,
it, but still, yeah, just weird stuff with it.
but there's there's the timeline of history in the practice facility to where there was a strategic effort in that to eliminate any Luka stuff from those glass cases there in the hallway at the practice facility.
Eras.
And it's like, here's these different eras. And it's like, all right, this is just the second best player of all time in history behind Dirk. And it's like that. And just all these things to like, it's like he didn't leave your franchise in free agency. Like he didn't choose to leave. It's like you traded this guy and now, you're trying to like kind of eliminate outside of, the tribute that they played in the arena. There's these things and over a video game billboard that has Luka's face on it. And yes,
when games aren't being played,
yeah, it has to,
like nobody out there.
There's definitely probably some strategy behind that from Overwatch's thing. Because I was parked at the stoplight today, looking up kind of at an angle to Victory Park, and I could see Luka's face on 3 different digital billboards there in Victory Park, and I was like kind of laughing about it, and just the fact that like someone from the Mavs reached out to Overwatch or the ad agency or whatever. It's like, get this. Mike Curtis report says, yeah, can it be on an ad? Your furthest opportunity or placement, the furthest away from the American Airlines Center. It's like,
Well,
it's just petty.
And Mike reported, don't expect to see one near the American Airlines Center anytime soon. That was August 27th.
Yeah, well, it's still there, so it's still in rotation.
And then he updated it the next day, and he's like, "Oh yeah, they're still there," or he updated it that day, and you're like, "Yeah, look, it didn't work." Is the whole point of this?
Yeah, and if you're Dallas, if you're the Mavs, like you gotta let, like, time is the only thing that's gonna make people not talk about Luka. Time and winning, and no matter what you do. Like this like delays everything and makes people more frustrated and brings those feelings back up whenever you make such an obvious effort to try to eliminate him from history or from the city or all this stuff. And it's just like, you just got to let this stuff play out. And like your message all along should just be, hey, we're thankful for Luka. He played an important role in our franchise, and hopefully over time we'll get your trust back. And we're excited about Cooper Flagg and all that stuff. Like, bam, that seems so simple.
And yet it's not going to be, because we had another example of a fan that had an interaction with Nico Harrison. And this is going to happen, I think, forever. I don't know if this, I don't know, maybe it'll maybe cease. Like, it won't be as frequent, but stuff like this will continue to happen. I don't know if you saw this video. It was going pretty viral recently, where Nico Harrison and maybe his family, seemingly his family, were sitting at a table at a Twin Peaks in Addison, and by an open window, which mistake number one, probably. And a Mavericks fan walks by, or a former Mavericks fan probably walks by, sees Nico in the window, like leans over the hedge, like the bushes outside the window, daps him up, and is just like, hey, basically, F you, still hate you, blah, 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 can't believe you did this, blah, blah, blah. And then just kind of like walks away with his friend as the friend is filming. First of all, where do you stand with that interaction? Is a fan allowed to say whatever they want to somebody out in public?
No, sorry. I thought you were going to go. I thought it was a pretty cheap move from the fan. I'm not trying to tell fans how to feel. If you're gonna you still hate him or you still have strong feelings for him, yes, like I understand a lot of fans with that. To take it to that level, I thought was kind of a low blow, a little cheap shot there with his family, to reach out and shake his hand too. And to say, it
was the bait and switch.
Yeah. We all hate you, like, type of stuff. That's not my cup of tea. I'm not about that. And it just, I don't know, it makes me feel uncomfortable watching something like that too. Just a group of dudes too. I don't know. It's kind of disgusting.
Seemed aggressive to me, and I didn't really care for it either. But the response on Reddit and Twitter and every place that I saw this clip was so positive about the fan.
Like, hey, in favor of the guy?
Yes, like he speaks for us. This is it. There's so many people that still feel that way and are like, won't be satisfied until Nico is out. Like, just will not at all. And that, to me, it goes back to our survey, right? Like 70% of the people that responded said Nico should be fired today.
Yeah, no, I don't I think that as long as Nico is in Dallas as GM in Dallas, or I mean even in Dallas, like fans are gonna hate him. Like I mean, it's kind of when you make a move like that, that's going to be next to your name in anything. It's your lower third tagline of anything. Like the guy who traded Luka, like everybody's going to see you by that. Unless we're talking 4 or 5 years from now and you got back-to-back titles in Dallas, this is going to be what you're defined by in Dallas, and fans are going to feel that way. A lot of us, I mean, I'm still really frustrated about it too. I thought that type of interaction is just a little too far. I think there's one thing of everybody chanting that in the arena, a shake hand, rope-a-dope in a restaurant with him and his family and all that stuff, and an aggressive kind of type of way. Like that's not my cup of tea, but
wild. Well, coming up, let's talk about a player currently on the Mavericks, PJ Washington, eligible for a 4-year, $90 million extension as of Friday. And it hasn't happened right now as of Monday, 11 p.m. When will it happen? Why hasn't it happened? We'll tell you coming up right now. Today's episode of Locked On Mavs brought to you by Monarch Money. Monarch Money is there for you when you have too much going on. There's so many things that you can't keep track of. I just traveled and I'm like throwing my credit card everywhere, my Apple Watch, Apple Pay, and you're just like tapping everywhere, swiping everywhere, inserting everywhere. You know, when you're on vacation, that's what you do.
Whoa.
Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, investments, and you don't have the full picture. You can end up leaving money on the table or wasting money on things like subscriptions and things that you forgot that you had, or reoccurring payments or whatever. So let Monarch Money help you with that. You can set it up really quickly in minutes. I've done it myself. I connected multiple credit cards. I connected multiple like savings accounts, 401ks, mortgage, student loans, even that I still have, things like that. I connected all that. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com. That's LOCKEDONNBA. Use that code LOCKEDONNBA in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with the code LOCKEDONNBA.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad. That's what we call our listeners, listening every single day. We have a text line if you want to get in on that, 214-643-8637. There's also a link in the description. It's joinsubtext.com/LockedOnMavs. And you can get text from us. It's going to be money throughout the season, for sure. It helps support the show, so get on that. We talked about the billboards. We talked about the fan incident with Nico Harrison. Let's talk about a player currently on the Mavericks. PJ Washington, eligible for a 4-year, $90 million extension. And Isaac, it could have happened on Friday. And there's been no real reports except for the report from Mark Stein that it's likely to happen. But why hasn't it happened if it's likely?
I have no clue. I don't have the answer to this. You put this, in the rundown of the show, and I'm like, I'm hoping you don't think I have an answer for this. I don't know. I mean,
here's the answer. It hasn't happened because it doesn't have to.
Well, I was literally about to say, there's no big, I mean, besides like training camp starting, either way, like if this deal is already kind of set in stone that it's going to be, let's say the full 4 years, let's say it's going to be, a raise that's 20% more than what he makes now. Like that right there will kind of start the whole, like he can't be traded thing. So either way, that 6 months takes you past like the trade deadline in February. So it's not like there's like a deadline of like, ooh, he's got to get it done in 2 days in order to still be traded this season. None of that's like applying. So it doesn't really like matter that much.
And the money level for him to be traded, like with Gafford's deal, he's going to make more than that. And so that's not really a thing. That's not really a thing either for him. So he's signed for this next year. He's making $14 million for this season coming up that we're about to witness. And so they really don't have to do anything. And if I've learned anything from hearing from GMs and stuff, I was at basically a conference thing one time, and there's a bunch of NBA GMs that spoke. One of them, I think it was Mike Zarin from the Celtics, said, nothing happens in the NBA without a deadline. Like that's it. Nothing happened. There is no deadline for this except for maybe the season starting or whatever. And so it hasn't happened yet because it doesn't have to. And I think that's the reason. And so I wouldn't freak out about it. I don't think that there's something that's happening where he could get traded. Crazier things have happened with the Mavericks for sure. But if Stein's reporting that he likely will get signed, then it likely will, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I expect it to be done. I mean, I think it's any day. The only thing ahead of deadline was the whole like stretch provision thing with Omax creating that roster spot and all this stuff. And I mean, look, like you said, deadlines make things happen, and they took that right up until the deadline of shopping Omax trying to dump the contract, and they couldn't, so they stretched him and to make room for Dante Exum. And so, now I know this isn't the greatest answer, but now and media day, I expect the PJ extension to be done. And we've said all along, if you haven't heard us talk about the PJ extension, like signing PJ Washington to an extension for the 4-year, just under $90 million. He is 27 years old, 6'8", the position he plays. I think it's a big win. I don't think you got to have the whole like roster fit all figured out and everything. I think with a player like that, if he's willing to sign it and like you sign him and you make it fit at that point, whether he's 6-man, whether he's a starter, he's going to play a ton of minutes. And for how well he played last year, I think it's a big win from Dallas. You're getting his 27-year-old year to his 31-year-old year. Like this is right in the sweet spot of his career. So I think it's a win-win for both sides.
And he would have value across the league. He's a player that a lot of teams would want. Can he play with, I think to me, the question is, can he play with Cooper Flagg? Yes. Can he play with Anthony Davis? Yes. Can he play with both of them together? Yes. Can he play with Kyrie? Yes. Right? Like you answer all those questions and all of a sudden you're like, yes, that's a player that the Mavericks should still keep. Now, can you play him with Cooper Flagg, Anthony Davis, and a center? That's a question that maybe Jason Kidd will answer for us because he's talked about and specifically mentioned that jumbo lineup, but we'll see about that. But that's a player that you want to keep in my book. The contract, is he worth it? You mentioned that number. So 4 years, about $90 million, gets you about $22 million a year. We mentioned this before when we did a show on this and deep dived into PJ Washington and what he brings and all that. We start to go through some of the numbers of wings across the league and some comparable contracts. This one's not comparable, but our OG Anunoby got 5 years, $210 million. That's $39 million a year. Like that is so much higher. And I don't know that OG Anunoby is that much better of a player than PJ Washington, right? Like almost double. That doesn't seem right. Like that number is to put it in perspective. Aaron Gordon got 4 years, $133 million. He makes $31 million a year. That also puts it into perspective.
I'd say Aaron Gordon's better.
Definitely better. Agree there. And OG Anunoby's better too. But is Aaron Gordon $9 million a year better than PJ Washington? Maybe.
Maybe.
Okay. Trey Murphy got 4 years, $112 million. That's $25 million a year. Miles Bridges, 3 years, $75 million. That's $25 million a year. Jaden McDaniels of the Timberwolves got 5 years, $136 million. That's $24 million a year. Kyle Kuzma, a star in his own right, 4 years, $102 million. That's about $23 million a year. And Harrison Barnes, 3 years, $54. That's about $19 million a year. You think about some of those players in there, and you're like, I think I would have PJ Washington definitely over Kyle Kuzma, definitely over Miles Bridges, definitely over Harrison Barnes. And now you're like, all right, he's worth the contract to me. Just even going off of like competitors and peers, because I think some people haven't adjusted to what the cap is yet.
Yeah,
because the new cap is higher, and $20 million a year sounds like a lot. It's really not in this NBA anymore.
You kind of got to adjust of what you thought about with 20. It's like thinking about what it's like with like 30.
Honestly,
it kind of, that's not the perfect like comp there for it, but yeah, I mean, other names that I had in there is like DeAndre Hunter, Naz Reid, Cam Johnson. These are all, these fours, small ball 4 type of guys. Naz Reid, kind of a small ball 5 more than PJ, but it's these type of guys that make around the same type of money that I'm sorry, like you could say I'm biased or not, but I've seen the impact PJ had in that finals run going against OKC and the Clippers. I've seen the efficient numbers last year and some of the shooting numbers and stuff and how important he was to this team whenever he was missing games and injuries. So I take all that into account, and I was like, all right, he's 27, and now look at some of these other guys that's making around this amount of money, the Jaden McDaniels, DeAndre Hunter, Kyle Kuzma. I'm like, yes, he's worth, out of all of those names, I'd probably take Trey Murphy and Jaden Daniels slightly over him, but like Hunter, Kuzma, Cam Johnson, heck, even Naz Reid, I would take him over Naz Reid. And Naz Reid's a good player, and he won 6th man of the year. But I like PJ's defense way more than Naz's.
It's a little hot. Naz also to me is more of a plays.
Is that a hottish take?
Plays a lot. I think it is for sure. He's 6th man of the year. But okay. So Kyle Kuzma is making $22.4 million next year. That's 14.5% of the cap.
What a dodge bullet on that.
That could be the Mavs' reality. is that right there? But I just like that cap percentage number because it puts it in perspective that this would be a good contract for PJ.
Yeah, for sure.
Coming up, Dante Exum was signed. Omax is gone. I need to hear from Isaac because I need to hear how he's doing. We need an update on Isaac Feelings Watch. And then we need to talk about Dante Exum and if the Mavs roster is set. We'll talk about that and more coming up.
Explain yourself.
Sorry.
All right, Isaac. We talked about PJ Washington and his contract. We talked about Nico and the fan. We talked about the Overwatch billboards. Let's talk about some Mavs news. The Mavs officially waived and stretched Omax Prosper's contract and on Friday, and then they have signed Dante Exum now, according to reports. The Mavericks have not officially announced the Dante Exum signing, but Stein reported it. I think another guy, Keith Smith, reported it.
I checked my emails a million times today because everybody's like, "Hey, it's official."
And they said it was official, and I was like, "What?"
It's like junk email. Like I was checking. I'm like, I even like texted somebody about it. I was like, "What is going?" Like, anyway.
But we do. It's one of those things where like it's a formality. You know it's coming, but it just hasn't been officially announced yet. So, but that being said, the Mavs now have Omax's dead money on the contract. It's going to be about $1 million a year, and he had $3 million this year he was owed. That's spread over the next 3 years, and so for this year, next year, and the year after that, they've got just over $1 million each year in Omax's contract, which is dead money. It's 0.6% of the cap. It's like really not that big of a deal on there. It also couples with JaVale McGee's dead money that's still on the cap too. JaVale McGee is owed, or it's $2.2 million each of the next 3 years. And so for the next 3 years, basically, the Mavs have this dead money. And I saw a couple people say, why are the Mavs doing this? Why do they have this dead money? I don't care for the stretch provision on somebody, especially if they're making that little money. But between JaVale McGee and Omax, it's only 2% of the cap, right? Like it's really a small percentage, and it goes down to 1.8 by year 3. So it's really not that big of a hit for the Mavericks, and for them to make the roster make a little bit more sense. And it may have been time to move on from Omax. I think I would have given him another year to try and figure it out, but the roster is so full of fours and wings that he just wasn't going to get a real shot this year with the Mavericks. But now we need to know if the tears are real, because Omax was your guy from the draft. He was like your guy. You were super excited to get him. You talked about him before the draft. You hyped him up. You were excited to see him play. How are you feeling?
I mean, I'm bummed. I have fun with it of being like super bummed and stuff. Still believing in him as a player, but I would have done this if I was making a decision for Dallas. Like, for where they're at, what they're trying to go for. Yeah, he just doesn't, like, he needs reps, and he just can't get them right now for Dallas. He has not progressed at the rate that I thought he would, that they need him to. And he's just not gonna have any type of role on this team. And a little clumsy out there. The game looks a little too fast for him at times. Like, I'm not dumb with it. But I do like what he brings, and what he could bring, and the idea of him coming out of college, of what I liked so much about him at Marquette. And I was super excited for him to get him in, it was pick 24, something like that. So, it is a bummer, of course. It's a first round pick. Take his name out of it. First round pick in 2023, and now you just waived him. Which I get it. It's a pick in the 20s. Not all picks in the 20s will work out and all the stuff. You can look at the names after him. There's no big names.
I want to play that game. Do you want to play that game with me?
Well, I looked at it the other day. Kamara's like one of the only ones, but that's like late second round. You can't say like, who Damani Kamara is like one that they should have picked him at pick 24. That's just. But there's no like direct names afterwards that you're like, dude, Dallas really messed up on taking him there.
Here are the names right after Omax got picked. Omax was the 24th pick in the 2023 draft. Tell me if you would rather have this player or take a chance on Omax. Marcus Sasser.
He's a fun guard. I guess you can say right now it's like, oh yeah, Sasser could have a role in this team, but he's a no. Yeah.
Ben Shepherd for the Pacers was a role player on the finals team.
Yeah, nice stash.
That's why it's a nice one again, but it's not like an automatic. Oh, it's Desmond Bane. Oh, they should have taken him, right? Like it's not that automatic.
But like Ben Shepherd had he had a great trait coming out of college and coming into the draft. He was one of the best shooters in the draft. So it's like Indiana's like, hey, we want a shooter. Dallas looks at it and says, we want a bigger 4 type of guy, lengthier, that can, potentially guard these guys on the perimeter and switch and stuff. So they just went defense wins championships, as we know. And they went with Omax for the defensive, case on that.
Nick Smith, who's playing for Charlotte. No, I wouldn't. I'd rather have the chance with Omax. Bryce Sensabaugh playing for the Jazz. I had a couple people mention him when I tweeted about this recently, and I was like, there's not somebody obvious that you would pick, that you would feel like you really missed out on. But Bryce Sensabaugh was one. He's good shooter playing for the Jazz though, and I don't know how to evaluate the players playing for the Jazz because that context is.
I don't either.
That's tough.
I mean, he's not bad, but
he's in the Ben Shepherd camp of like would have been nice, would probably still be on the team, but is not an obvious.
But like
you missed big.
I would say Ben Shepherd and Sensabaugh's probably had more of a legit opportunity to kind of grow and stuff. Well, not saying that, hey, that's the reason why Omax didn't work out in Dallas. I'm not trying to make an excuse for him because he's not progressed like he should have for Dallas. But yeah,
Julian Strother playing for the Nuggets. I
want to see more from him. I did like him coming out of the draft though.
Yeah, he's played a lot. Kobe Brown, James Najee, Jalen Pickett, Leonard Miller, Kobe Jones, Julian Phillips, Andre Jackson Jr., Hunter Tyson, Jordan Walsh, Muhammad Gee, Maxwell Lewis, Amari Bailey, Tristan Vucevic for the Wizards is the one name of that whole list that I stop and like go, oh, maybe he was all right for the Wizards.
Is he still on the team though?
Yeah, playing in the Eurobasket right now. Ryan Repair, CD Cisco, Gigi Jackson is an interesting name. Seth Lundy, Muhammad King, Jordan Miller, Imani Bates, Keontae Johnson, Jalen Wilson, Tumani Kamara went 52. So you're talking about the one obvious name, Tumani Kamara, who was second team all defense this year. The one obvious name is like 20 spots after Omax. So I don't think the Mavs are losing sleep over.
Here's the thing. I will commend Nico on this because at the time, I love what they tried to do in that draft. He looked at it and was like, hey, we have the 10th overall pick. This is one of our chances to add 1 or 2 young guys to this young core. And he takes advantage of, it was great maneuvering around. Moves back 2 spots, dumps a contract, like all the stuff, money, Bertans, OKC, gets this guy in Lively by moving back 2 spots. Then, gets back into the first round because he moved up to and all the stuff took on Rashawn Holmes and, moved up to, got that 24th pick. And I like the idea of what they were going for in Omax. So I thought it was a great draft from Nico. Just bummed that Omax didn't work out. And I really do. I hope Brooklyn or somebody picks him up and he gets some run and all of that stuff. But he's definitely it's more of the feel for the game for him that he's got to figure out. But I totally get it too, that you need some backcourt help. Dante Exum had a great run for Dallas, coming back from Europe to play from playing basketball over in Europe, and what a return from him. He had good minutes in Dallas. They really liked him coming off the bench, a vet, a bigger guard, and you just need there was no path for Omax to ever get minutes this upcoming season.
Yeah,
Dante Exum could really get a decent amount of minutes and stuff in Dallas because they need that backcourt. And he's something that they don't really have in the backcourt. He's different from Brandon Williams. He's different than D'Angelo Russell. So I like them bringing him back.
Yeah, it's nice. They need another guard that's solid, that's a vet, that can defend as well, and that knows Jason Kidd's offense, has played in it before, can play on and off the ball a little bit here and there. And so I liked it. We'll talk about Dante Exum a lot throughout the rest of the offseason and talk about the roster and it being set and all that. But sad to see Omax go, but we think it's the right move.
It is,
and all that. But we'll be back tomorrow with more. We'll talk more about the Mavs survey that we concocted. We'll talk about some of the things going on in the offseason. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.